Welcome, dearest patrons and poltergeists, to
Chateau Macabre.
a gay horror podcast where we give our hot takes, gay brain theories, and initial reactions, keeping it cool, creepy, and camp with our original topics that never fail to please.
Yes, welcome back to our show. I am Robert,
And I'm Kyle.
and we're here to share with you some horror news updates, announcements, reviews, recommendations, and some spooky discussions talking about our favorite horror movies and horror characters. Thank you for joining us again. Now, once again, we like to think of this as our weekly Halloween party where we get to celebrate Halloween all year long. And every good Halloween party needs a good spooky themed cocktail. So, our creepy cocktail of the week is called A Nightmare on Bourbon Street. It is a mix of bourbon, apple cider, maple syrup, lemon juice, cinnamon, and ginger. So, we're going to give this a taste and tell you if you should try it at your next Halloween or spooky themed party.
Bottoms up.
Cheers. Very good.
Yeah.
Very flavorful. You can definitely taste the cinnamon, the ginger, and the apple flavor from like both the apple cider and these apple slices that we've used as garnish is really nice.
Yeah, I mean, the color is kind of giving Freddy Krueger's face after the incident, but it smells amazing. It tastes like it's like a spiced rum almost.
Yeah.
But I love it. I would
Yeah.
definitely drink this again.
This would be perfect on like an autumn day, like, or I guess it'd be pretty early to be drinking this during the day. But autumn time for sure, I would be drinking this.
The little apple slices are cute too. They remind me of Freddy Krueger's kind of claw situation.
Yeah, we should have put like 5 of those in for like to look like his claws. Yeah. But okay, now that we've had our liquor, time to move on to our horror news updates. Our first update: Warner Brothers revealed a new look at the sequel to 1988's Beetlejuice on Thursday, titled Beetlejuice Beetlejuice. Arriving 36 years after the original, Lydia Dietz, played by Winona Ryder, now has a teenage daughter of her own, Astrid, played by Jenna Ortega.
Love her.
After a family tragedy forces the Dietz to return to the house Lydia abandoned decades prior, Astrid discovers the same model of the town in the attic, accidentally opening a portal to the afterlife once again. Alongside Ryder, Michael Keaton will reprise his performance as Beetlejuice, while Catherine O'Hara returns as Lydia's stepmother, Delia. New to the star-studded cast is Justin Theroux, Monica Bellucci, Arthur Conti, and Willem Dafoe. Tim Burton will be directing a screenplay penned by the duo of Alfred Goh and Miles Miller, who also wrote the script for the Addams Family spinoff Wednesday. It definitely captures like that feel of like the original movie, but like a more modern version. Obviously, there's a huge like trend in Hollywood of just like rehashing the same IPs and stuff that came out like decades ago and just remaking it basically and calling it new because there's no creativity in Hollywood anymore.
Oh,
I mean, I'm not wrong.
read the girls.
Yeah. The trailer looks promising, all the actors look great. The effects look great. Like obviously like Tim Burton is directing it, so that like it makes me feel good,
Yeah, I see what you mean because we watched a ton of remakes last year. The Scream movies. What else was on that list?
There's just a bunch of like rebookals or requels or whatever you want to call them. Halloween or what else? I mean, they're planning more right now, but the Scream ones are the first one that come to mind because like I didn't love those ones. I didn't love how like I just want something, original, I want if you're going to bring back a new property, at least like breathe some new creativity into it, right? This one, while it captures like the original feel of like the first movie, it at least looks like it's setting up something new with some new characters and some new storylines. I'm going to give it a chance. There's talent behind it, so it'll probably be watchable, but I'm just hoping that it'll give us something new.
All right. On to my first horror news update. Monsterpalooza returns for its 15th anniversary to the Pasadena Convention Center from May 31st, June 2nd, to celebrate the art of monsters and movie magic, featuring over 450 exhibitors of the country's best artists and creatives. See makeup demos brought to life before your very eyes, meet celebrities from your favorite films, enter the Monsterpalooza Museum, with incredible monstrous displays and sit in on panels diving deep into the behind the scenes moments of iconic movies and much more. So when I took a look at the key appearances, there's some big names here. Matthew Lillard, Skeet Ulrich, and Melissa Barrera from the Scream movies. Doug Bradley from the Hellraiser franchise. And then David Thornton, Damien Leone, and Catherine Corcoran from the Terrifier franchise, and many more. Definitely have to check that one out.
Oh, I want to. I mean, I've been keeping an eye on this for a while. Like, I've been getting like all the advertisements on Instagram. And we need to broaden our like horror network. You know, we need to interact with our community more. Meet some of our like 7 Spotify listeners.
Are you saying I should leave the house and go
I'm-
meet
I'm-
people?
I'm
Are you
saying-
looking at my sweatpants,
Yes,
Robert?
I'm saying you should put on something other than sweatpants. Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
But I'm excited for Monster Palooza. I really want to go. So if you want to go, let's go.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And if you follow us on Instagram, just DM us at Chateau Macabre podcast and be like, hey, fags, you coming? Because we would like to see you.
All right, moving on to our next story. Disney Channel's upcoming Wizards of Waverly Place sequel series has a new title, Wizards Beyond Waverly Place. Ooh.
Beyond.
Selena Gomez, who starred in the original series as Alex Russo and executive produced the spinoff, announced the news during Disney's 2024 upfront presentation, during which the company also released new images from the show, giving a first look at the grown-up versions of Alex and her brother Justin, played by David Henry, as well as the new Russo family members. Wizards Beyond Waverly Place follows an adult Justin Russo who has chosen to lead a normal mortal life with his family, Giada, Roman, and Milo. When Justin's sister Alex brings Billy to his home seeking help, Justin realizes he must dust off his magical skills to mentor the wizard in training, while also juggling his everyday responsibilities and safeguarding the future of the wizard world. Now, first of all, did you grow up with Wizards of Waverly Place?
Oh, yeah. In that time of like, That's So Raven, Lizzie McGuire, Hannah Montana, Sweet Life, and obviously Wizard. So this was kind of like my childhood. Was that the same for you too?
Oh, absolutely. This was definitely my time period of Disney Channel. Like, obviously, like I remember like watching Lizzie McGuire and That's a Raven and Even Stevens and all that. But that was like I was very young when that came out. My core generation was more like Hannah Montana, Sweet Life, and Wizards and Sunny with a Chance. So like that was my era of Disney Channel. Yeah, it was definitely one of my favorite shows. I think like what I liked most about it was that like Alex, like the main character, was so different from like the other protagonists of like the Disney shows. Like the other Disney shows were very much like they always tried to be like the good kids, like like follow like the rules even when like they do something wrong, like they still like apologize and like do the right thing, like give morals to the young children watching. Alex Russo was not that kind of character. Like she was very much like an unapologetic, like she was just like a bad kid and like she never apologized for it. Like even when she did something wrong in the show and like people would call her out, like she'd just be like, okay, whatever. And like that'd be the end of the show. She was very much like a child's version of an anti-hero, and I loved that
Yeah.
as a kid.
She was the gay sibling, for sure.
Oh, absolutely. She was very much that. Um, and it's not surprising to me that people want more Wizards of Waverly Place content. Like people like love these characters. It was like one of those like core Disney Channel shows, and like obviously there's a market for it because like I don't know if you know, there's that fucking Wizards of Waverly Place podcast.
There's a podcast?
Yeah, with Christy Carlson Romano, that girl from Even Stevens and Kim Possible.
Oh my gosh.
She has this entire like podcast network where she just keeps giving podcasts to these former child stars. So like there's a Wizards of Waverly Place podcast starring like the dad actor and like Harper.
Wait, as in David DeLuise?
Yes.
Wait, so despite his like nudes leaking, he was still on this Disney Channel podcast?
Yes.
Because I saw a full hole and everything.
I I don't know why you felt the need to bring up that his nudes were leaked. No one was thinking about that
This
except
is a
you.
gay horror podcast. I'm serving half our demographic. I mean, it's out there if you want to Google
It is out
David
there,
DeLuise
Nudes, yeah.
nudes.
Yeah.
I mean,
He's a married man. He's married to a woman, but from those pictures,
it looked very like
the way he was posing.
I know, like I get the front part, but like the ass shots.
Yeah, the way he was posing. I don't know who you were trying to send that to. But
Scruff.
anyways, Christy Carlson Romano, she has like this entire podcast network. She has like there's a podcast for like the Ned's Declassified cast. There's like a podcast for like the Boy Meets World cast. Like all these former child stars have podcasts, and me and my brother, like, we don't watch any of them, but we just like from the sidelines observe this, and we're like, what is going on with all these former child stars? Why does everyone have a podcast now? But anyway, obviously, like, people want more like Wizards content. I don't know how good this is going to be. This feels very much like what Disney's been doing the last few years, like with Raven's Home, and then like that Lizzie McGuire reboot that was supposed to happen, but ended up getting canceled because Lizzie, like, what's her name?
Hilary Duff.
Hilary Duff hated it. Yeah.
Oh, okay. I
Yeah.
mean, now she's doing How I Met Your Father.
Yeah. Have you
So-
seen that?
No, but I heard it's not the same as like How I Met Your Mother.
Yeah.
I heard it's like anyway. But yeah, no, I mean, I'm curious to see how this is. Like when you I just want to bring up when you mentioned Selena Gomez pitching this during the upfronts, this reminded me so much of Debbie Ryan in that interview where she goes like, "Oh, how did you come up with this show, Jesse?" And she mentions, "Well, I just walked into the office of the CEO of Disney and I said, I want to make history. I want to change stuff." You know?
You think that's what Selena Gomez did?
Yeah, but in a less like meme-worthy
Cringy
way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it is Selena Gomez. It probably was not as cringy, but probably still a little cringy.
Still, she's just
she
trying
probably
to.
did. She probably did that and then said, "I'm taking a break from social media."
Oh,
Um,
she's like, I need a cleanse.
But yeah, this announcement. I mean, we'll see how it goes.
We'll see how it goes.
I mean, yeah.
Moving on to my second news update, an adaptation of the 2021 novel written by Willie Vlotton, Night Always Comes, is on the way from Netflix and Luna Entertainment, and Variety has announced the entire cast this week. So just to give you a little synopsis, the film follows Lynette, a woman who risks everything to secure a future for herself and her brother by setting out on a dangerous odyssey in Portland. Portland, going there is very dangerous. I know, I've driven there during the pandemic. In doing so, confronting her own dark past over one propulsive night. So it mentions here Vanessa Kirby is leading the cast, and some heavy hitters here: Eli Roth, Julia Fox, Randall Park, Michael Kelly, and many more star. So, we just got the cast, and I want to talk about this because I saw Julia Fox.
Right. Yeah.
She's the it girl of
She is
right
the it
now.
girl now. Yeah. She's everyone's favorite reference, baby.
I'm so Julia.
This is a very interesting cast. Like, I love Vanessa Kirby. She was in The Crown, and she's also supposed to be in the new Fantastic Four movie. Randall Park is interesting.
I mean, all I remember him was like from Fresh Off the Boat.
Yeah, I think that's like the biggest in it. But he's in the Marvel movies too.
Oh yeah, but
Yeah.
I don't remember what he plays.
He's like a agent, a shield agent or something.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not. I'll be honest with you. Like, I'm not the biggest fan.
Oh, neither am I. but
Yeah.
Yeah. This is a very interesting cast. And the fact that this is a Netflix thriller is interesting because Netflix isn't like the best at making like these thriller type movies, I would say. You remember that show? What was it? The one with Jennifer Coolidge?
The Watcher. This one, right?
Yes. Do you remember that one?
Oh yes. It was the movie about, or like the series about that lady who moved into a home and then apparently somebody wanted it.
Yeah.
And she got the threatening letters.
Yeah. That series was awful.
I didn't even watch it. That's why it didn't click. And I was like, is Jennifer Coolidge in there? When you told me what's a Jennifer Coolidge Netflix movie, I just know that like gay Christmas movie with Michael Urie.
Yeah.
She's funny in that one.
But like Netflix, I feel like is not the best at making these thriller type movies.
I mean, their documentaries though are another story, but their movies.
Their documentaries are also questionable at best. We just talked about this a couple weeks ago that
You didn't like
fucking
Jennifer Pan?
with her fucking
AI
AI generated
fingers.
fingers, yes. So Netflix is not the best at making stuff in general these days, I would say, in my opinion. But you know, we'll see what Julie Fox has to bring to this project.
Oh my gosh.
Moving on to our next story. The Munsters is getting a dark reboot from horror filmmaker James Wan. Universal Content Productions is developing 1313, which is described as a horror series that plays in the Universal Monsterverse. The title, of course, is a reference to the family's address, 1313 Mockingbird Lane. What's more interesting, though, is some of the talent behind this in development series. Namely, horror filmmaker James Wan is developing 1313 through his production company Atomic Monster, alongside UCP's Ingrid Su and showrunner Lindsay Anderson Beer. Wan is one of the most prolific directors in the genre, known for creating the Conjuring universe, as well as co-creating the Saw and Insidious franchises. He has plenty of notable credits beyond horror too, including Furious 7 and DC Studios' Aquaman and its sequel last year. Beer, meanwhile, worked on Paramount Plus's film Cemetery Bloodline.
I can already tell
This
you
is
have
the
some thoughts.
Yes. This is the worst news I heard all week. I don't know why the fuck we need a dark reboot of the Munsters. I feel like you know this already. I'm a big fan of the Munsters. Like I love the original series. I've seen like a few of the like, remake movies over the years, and like I love the Munsters so much because they're a wholesome family. They're a wholesome like franchise. Like they're not like the Addams family. I feel like a lot of people compare like the Munsters to the Addams family, but they're not the same. The Addams family are like they hate everyone and like they kill people sometimes, and like they're just generally like, oh, I'm evil, but like I'm still campy or whatever. That's not what the Munsters are. The Munsters are like they're like friendly. They're monsters, but like they're just nice people. Like they love their community. To them, like even though they look scary, like they think they're like the all-American family, and they're just a wholesome franchise, and that's why I like them. And I don't know why the fuck we would want like a dark horror reboot of the Munsters. I don't know who asked for that. I don't know who wanted it. This feels like something that was on like a pinboard in some like Universal executive's office that was like reboot Munsters but make it horror. And I was like, why? Like who wanted that?
Do you think it's going to be like a formulaic type of like blockbuster situation because it's James Wan and
I don't
he's like the Marvel of horror?
He is like the Marvel of horror. Like he created the Conjuring universe and all that. But I don't think it's going to be formulaic because, like, he doesn't really make things that are formulaic when he's at the helm of it.
Mm,
I feel like the Conjuring universe has kind of gone off the rails since he stopped directing those movies.
yeah.
I don't think it'll be anything like too formulaic. I don't even know how you could make the Munsters into a formulaic horror movie. It's a sitcom about a family of monsters. How can you fuck that up? You know? But we'll see. We'll see.
Yeah. My next news update is recently at the Cannes Film Festival, Poor Things director Yorgos Lanthimos, together with Oscar winner Emma Stone, announced their new film, Kinds of Kindness. This three-part anthology movie features an all-star cast including Jesse Plemons, William Dafoe, Margaret Qualley, Hong Chow, Hunter Schafer, and Momodou Ayithi. The official synopsis writes, three stories revolve around a man who tries to take control of his own life, a policeman whose wife seems like a different person, and a woman who searches for someone with a special ability. I mean, that's really not giving much away, but set to release June 21st, 2024. I personally am excited to see this because Yorgos films have always very abstract, cool visuals together with multiple meanings on like a societal commentary. Did you watch Poor Things?
I did not, but I heard a lot of things about it. I heard like some people like really loved it, and I heard some people didn't.
What I what I loved about it is that I mean everybody knows it's like very abstract visually and there's multiple meanings behind it, but at least the plot it was easy to follow
Mm.
and very clear storyline. So it'll be interesting to see, a 3-part anthology and interweaving stories. So,
I'm excited just for Emma Stone. Like
oh yeah,
I love Emma Stone. I was just talking about this with my boyfriend the other day. Like I want to do like a movie night where we just watch a bunch of Emma Stone movies. So like Easy A, maybe Spider-Man, maybe like Crazy Stupid Love, maybe Poor Thing.
and
Yeah.
you dress up as your favorite Emma Stone.
Dress up as your favorite Emma Stone, yes. And I would do if I was gonna dress up as an Emma Stone character, I would do her character from House Bunny.
Oh my
Yeah.
gosh.
I would just do like the glasses and like the ugly red like ponytail.
Yeah.
Yeah. Or I would do Easy A and I would wear like the corset with like the A on it.
The A, the
Yeah.
Scarlet.
I don't know if I'd be able to fill that out, but
Oh, I think you can. But I don't know her. I love her line from House Bunny where Anna Faris' character goes like, "Ooh, what about a wet T-shirt contest?" And she goes, she tries to help, but like flops, and she's like, "Yeah, what about some wet pants? Some wet pants over here." She starts hosing her crotch with a hose, and all the guys are like, "Oh."
oh my god. Emma Stone is a treasure. I love her so much.
She's so funny, and
Mhm.
now she's like a serious. Well, she's
Now
always
she's an
been
Oscar winner.
yeah. Is this her second Oscar?
I believe she just won her first
That
Oscar.
was her first for Poor Things.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So obviously there's talent behind this movie. I'm excited for it.
Yes.
Moving on to this week's discussion, where we are talking about horror movies starring drag queens.
Ooh. You better work.
I feel like we as gay people just love drag, and I feel like we're living in a time where like drag is kind of everywhere. Like obviously there are drag shows all over LA now, like in the clubs and drag brunches. I know because I've been going to drag brunches like at my boyfriend's restaurant, like obviously Drag Race and Dragula and that fucking Trixie Mattel TV show. And she's having another TV show right now or coming up where she like renovates like a haunted house or something.
Trixie is gay HGTV.
And there are also a ton of great drag movies, To Wong Fu,
Mhm.
The Birdcage, Hurricane Bianca. And, there are some not great drag movies either, or two.
Some may say horrific.
Yes, yeah. There are quite a few horror movies starring drag queens. And I was just talking about this with my brother the other day because, like, he was asking about, like, this topic that we're doing for this episode. Like, oh, like, I didn't even know there were any, like, horror movies starring drag queens. And it's like, I mean, it's not that surprising to find out that there are quite a few of them because, like, obviously gays love horror. So, like, if I'm a drag queen and I have the opportunity to make my own movie, I'm making a horror movie.
Yeah, I mean, I want to freak some people out.
Yeah, yeah. And, like, in a good way this time.
Well, I would say. Well, I know some of these are. How are we rating these? If they're good, we say Shante You Stay,
Yeah,
and if they're bad, it's Sashay Away.
yeah. Talking about our first movie here, it's called Dead Don't Die in Dallas from 2019. Has an alternate title, which is Kicking Zombie Ass for Jesus. I don't know why it has an alternate title. Some websites it's called Dead Don't Die in Dallas. Some websites it's called Kicking Zombie Ass for Jesus. I personally prefer Kicking Zombie Ass for Jesus because that's like a funnier name. But Dead Don't Die in Dallas is the one that was on Tubi.
I
So
mean,
I'm gonna go with that one.
it's 4 Ds in the title,
Yeah.
so we'll see if these 4 Ds are in Willem.
Yes. This movie stars Willem Belli, and the synopsis: a miracle pill that supposedly will cure all viral infectious diseases
Prep.
turns turns most of humanity into zombies. The few survivors in a small Texas town barricade themselves into an abandoned building. It soon becomes clear that the survivors can be split to two camps. Bible thumpers, and queer folk. This movie is all over the place, honestly, because like it's very, very much like a very low budget, like grindhouse type movie, like bad special effects, like kind of bad acting. But like it's on purpose. Like it's one of those bad on purpose movies. So like, it's kind of that like self-aware, like trying to be funny about it. But like tonally, it gives me whiplash sometimes because like um going into a little bit more about the plot, Willem plays a hairstylist named Beth Amphetamine who has to survive the zombie apocalypse while also dealing with homophobic Christian people. So he's dealing with like a preacher and his wife. He's dealing with like this Trump supporter and his wife, and they're like constantly berating him for being gay while also having to fight off this army of the undead. It's very tonally, it gives you whiplash because one minute it's trying to be funny, and then the next it's like being giving very, very serious commentary on homophobia in America. And it's like sometimes it's kind of a bummer.
I know,
Yeah.
like you need to focus on something.
Yeah.
Otherwise, it's just. I think he wanted Willem just wanted that like mini platform like on Drag Race where you have the vote stickers at the end of the
Yeah.
show.
Yeah. Um,
But also, let's fight zombies.
yeah. But that being said, like, I don't think this is a bad movie. Like, rewatching this movie, like, it's pretty funny. Like, like I said, it's like one of those like low budget, like bad on purpose movies. So like, they do get me sometimes with like the effects. Like, there will be a moment where like Willem like punches a zombie, and he'll do like that cartoon punch sound effect. And like a few of those like did make me laugh because like it's so corny like that. But like a lot of the actors have some pretty great comedic timing too, especially Willem. Like you can tell like they know this isn't like serious, but they're still like giving it their all. And it's just it is a pretty funny movie.
I think I don't know. I didn't watch this movie, but I remember you talking about it before, and you made this really funny comment where you said, "Yeah, and the extras look like people they just fucking pulled from the street."
They do though. So I mean again, low budget. Like they obviously weren't like hiring like extras from like Hollywood or whatever. Like I'm sure this was probably filmed like in Texas somewhere. So they just found like whoever.
Mhm.
And like when I say low budget, I mean like quite a few scenes in this movie are like very obviously like stock footage. Like
Oh,
yeah, like there's like this part in the movie where like they're talking about like this miracle drug, and they're like showing the doctors making the drug in the lab, and it's like that is stock footage. That
oh
that
my
is like
gosh.
footage that you paid to put in this
Yeah, they
movie.
bought that like 5 second clip.
Yeah, yeah. But it's moments like that that like obviously like it's the self-aware, like we know this is bad, but like just sit back and like have a good time. And I think it's successful at that. Like all the cheesiness and corniness and tonal whiplash aside, like I would put this on for like a scary like queer horror movie night. Like I would watch this with friends and like laugh at how bad it is, but also like laugh with it too. So yeah.
Yeah, no, I mean, I'm kind of curious to watch it now because I want to know how it ends. Like, which storyline gets resolved? Is it the gay storyline or the zombie apocalypse storyline?
You're gonna have to watch it and find out.
This
Maybe
will be.
maybe it's both. Maybe it's both. I don't know.
All right. So,
But
what
for
do you rate this?
I would say Shante You Stay. I like
Shantae.
this movie. I would watch it again.
All right. Shantae, Shantae, Shantae. Um, all right. Well, for my first movie, 1972 Pink Flamingos movie, starring Divine, probably known as the grossest drag queen of all time. Is that a fitting title?
I think so too, because I think that like even today, all of these like new girls, like all the Dragula girls, like who are trying to be like disgusting and gross and all that, they all know that Divine is like the blueprint. Like I don't know of any other drag queens who have eaten literal dog shit, but like even if they have, like they didn't get the press for it. Only
No,
Divine did. So like
no.
she is the blueprint, and everyone knows that. She's a legend for being gross and disgusting, and so I think that title is very fitting for her.
So let's get into the plot first. The notorious criminal Divine lives under the pseudonym Babs Johnson with her mentally ill mother Eddie, delinquent son Crackers, and traveling companion Cotton. They share a trailer on the outskirts of Phoenix next to a gazing ball, and a pair of plastic pink flamingos. After learning that Divine has been named the filthiest person alive by a tabloid paper, jealous rivals Connie and Raymond marble. Okay, I'm sorry. Who would be jealous of that? But anyway, they attempt to usurp her title. That's the whole movie. It's the rivalry between Divine and this couple, the Marbles, who literally want, I don't know, I guess there's nothing better to do in Maryland than to be the filthiest person alive. But I guess this is their version of Dracula. Yeah, and they do all sorts of crazy stuff. Like, for example, one of the most infamous scenes here is that they enlist a spy named Cookie to gather information about Divine. And what ends up happening is that Cookie actually gets raped by Crackers, all while crushing a live chicken between them as Cotton looks on through a window. And that's a lot. Like killing animals on screen.
So
Just
they
for a
actually
scene.
killed a chicken.
They actually killed a chicken, and when I was doing research on it, they later on cooked and ate the chicken. Like the cast cooked and ate the chicken.
I mean, on one hand, like, don't put the dead chicken to waste. On the other hand, I don't really want to eat a chicken that two people were fucking on top of.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Yeah.
but I guess wherever your priorities are.
I mean, there's a lot in this movie. This movie is also shocking because, like, besides the the chicken killing and the dog feces, the sex here is mostly unsimulated. Divine, basically gives somebody like a BJ. It's all real.
I don't see that.
Yeah.
I don't
Yeah.
need to. I don't want to.
There's dead chickens. There's porn basically and dog shit.
This movie was directed by John Waters, right?
Mhm.
Jesus Christ, John. Like,
Yeah.
I know he's a respected director and all that. And I know that this is like the movie that put him on the map, basically. But like, Jesus Christ.
I have to say, and then to add to that list, I think it was also an incest. Divine actually goes down on the character that was supposed to play her son. It's a lot.
Okay, well,
It's a lot. Okay. Well, I want to talk about the reception around this movie, right? Obviously, it was banned in several countries. Um, and it is a cult film but it has been like a cult film.
I mean, I don't really think that being banned in several countries really means anything. Like, you and I are banned in several countries just for being faggots.
What are you talking about? I am not gay. I love my girlfriend and would love to go to Dubai in the coming years. So I do not know nothing of the sort of this homosexuality. Additionally, this film was selected for preservation in the United States National Film Registry by the Library of Congress because it was deemed as being culturally, historically, or aesthetically significant.
I mean, yeah, like, but, like, obviously this movie is like iconic. Like, it's, it's a piece of like film history.
I love how you're struggling saying that it's a piece of film history.
It is though. It is. It's just weird thinking that there's like
Dog shit,
shit
incest,
and
and chickens
yeah,
as culturally significant.
yeah.
About this character, I think Divine is kind of also like the blueprint for characters like Joanne the Scammer.
Oh, absolutely.
You know, she's a gay like menace type of character that I don't know, I love
Oh,
because
absolutely.
just like a menace to society.
Mhm.
Plus, she's like a big
Or
girl
Terry
too.
Terry Joe.
Yep. I love how I said, and she's kind of a big girl too, and you're like, yeah, and Terry Joe, homosexual. But yeah, Shante You Stay.
Okay. Moving on to my next movie, I'm talking about The Last Sharknado. It's About Time from 2018. So this movie actually stars Alaska Thunderfuck. The only reason I know about this is because like I love Alaska. She's one of my favorite drag queens. I listen to her podcast, and she's talked about this a few times in passing, like on her show. I went in just for Alaska. I went in because like this is Sharknado 6. This is the sixth movie in the franchise.
Jesus.
So I haven't seen any of the other Sharknado movies. I've only seen this one because this is the one that Alaska is in. Let me give you the premise. This is a made-for-TV disaster film follow-up to the first Sharknado film from 2013. This movie, the heroes of the Sharknado franchise use time travel to go back in time and stop the disastrous Sharknadoes before they start, and end up fighting Sharknadoes at various points throughout history. Prehistoric dinosaur times, King Arthur's court, the American Revolution, the Old West, and others. So yeah, it's a movie about time traveling and fighting Sharknadoes. First of all, are you familiar with the premise of the Sharknado?
Of a Sharknado?
Yeah.
No. You gotta have to explain it to me.
You haven't heard of this?
This was like, I've heard of Sharknado,
Yeah.
but I've never seen a Sharknado.
I mean, this is the only one I've seen too. The whole joke was that it's like schlocky, like low budget, but bad on purpose, like type disaster about a tornado that sweeps up a bunch of sharks, and the sharks start attacking people on land.
Oh
And
my-
It's a Sharknado. I'm gonna be totally honest. I've seen this movie 2 times now to prepare for this video, and I still don't really know what I watched. But like, this movie gives you like zero context for anything that's going on. So good luck if you want to just jump into it.
Still more easily understood though than Hell House 2, 3, and
We're not even going to get into that. We're going to save that for another video. Alaska plays the witch Morgana, and she's one of the villains of the movie. Even has like some of her like classic, what's it called, catchphrases. She does like bye, like she does that, and then she teleports away. There are tons and tons of like C and D list celebrities: Neil deGrasse Tyson, Leslie Jordan, Vivica A. Fox, Jonathan Bennett, Gary Busey, Gilbert Gottfried, Tori Spelling, Tara Reid, and more.
yeah.
Yeah. Whenever I hear of like Tara Reid, I always think of that like interview she did with Jenny McCarthy. So like Jenny McCarthy, this actress, she had like a podcast, and she had Tara Reid, and Jenny McCarthy was being like so cunty to her for some reason, and she was like, "You look great now. So are you done getting plastic surgery?" Tara Reid was like so like genuinely pissed off. She was like, "You know what? I don't want to talk about this, so I'm just gonna leave." And she like starts to get up. Jenny McCarthy is like, "Okay, well, I hope you have a great day, and I hope you stay married." and Tara Reid is like, "You know what? I hope you stay married too." And Jenny McCarthy was like, "Thanks, I will, and I hope your knees get a little more wobbly than they already are."
That is so crazy.
This interview kind of made the rounds, and then like at the end of that clip, she's like, "Love you, Tara. Good luck with Sharknado 18."
I mean, that's such a low blow. All I know about Tara Reid was like she was the hot bombshell, right, in a lot of the early 2000s films, and then
Yeah.
she got botched lipo or something.
She got a botched boob job.
Yeah, and then she just stopped working after that.
Yeah.
I mean,
Besides this.
besides Sharknado
Yeah.
18.
Like, going back to this movie specifically, like, I can't say this movie is really like anything worth watching. Like, there aren't like jokes. There's no like setup and then a punchline. It's just like visual gags and then like really cheesy writing, and like that's it. So for me, this movie is a Sashay Away.
I'm sorry, my dear. But yeah, a movie that I think will turn it around is this next one, All About Evil 2010, directed by Peaches Christ, starring Natasha Lyonne and your favorite, Miss Cassandra Peterson, aka Elvira, and others. Like, that's all. I just stopped at like Elvira, and I was like, the rest of these girls don't matter. The plot was clear, easily understood, without being too predictable. Follows Natasha's character, who
Like a theater.
She owns a theater. She's this very meek and mild personality at first, but then she discovers the joys of snuff films, and then she becomes this big artistic, like tour director, and her personality changes, and the whole makeover scene. And she's evil, she's funny, she's camp, and
she starts like killing people and like filming them and like posing them as her movies, right?
Yeah, and people love them because they feel so real until they realize that she's actually killing people that have wronged her in the past. I know many of us would love to do that.
Ooh,
but
not me.
But it's I was gonna say, are you sure about that? I feel I could think of like 1 to 2 people on that list.
I can think of like 100.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Well, we can't all be making Sharknado 18. But yeah, the gore and comedy were balanced too. And I like that it was moving. The flow was really good. A random fact here, Darren Stein, who directed Jawbreaker, also produced this movie. I first knew about Natasha Lyonne from this 2014 film called GBF.
Another one of those like bad on purpose type.
Bad
movies.
on purpose movies. But you know what? Rewatching it, the jokes are funny. Like they actually talk about poppers, Jesus, and like this is not God's plan, you know? Darren also happened to produce this movie, and yeah, I think it's like a Shante You Stay. I'm not so familiar with Peaches Christ. So I just know that she appeared in this film and she directed it as well. But do you have anything more to say about Miss Peaches?
I mean, Peaches Christ is like an icon, I think. I feel like she's one of the ones who's on like the Mount Rushmore of drag. Like she is like an icon for being like a local like San Francisco drag queen. Like she puts on like so many shows, but she's known for being like horror themed like queen. She does like this show called like Midnight Mass. There's this like troupe in San Francisco called Terror Vault, which Princess Poppy was a part of before she quit drag. Her and Heclina were like the two biggest ones in San Francisco before like Heclina's passing. So yeah, I love Peaches Christ. I love this movie.
I Natasha Lyonne, please make more.
Yeah.
Also, side note, last week I went to a sample sale in like a restaurant in LA, and Natasha Lyonne was just selling her old clothes there. Like she didn't even show up, but it was just a bunch of her old shit, and a lot of it was stained.
Oh,
Okay, I love you.
girl just
Not,
came
not,
away.
not gonna say anything more, but yes,
Well, anyway,
make a movie.
yeah.
You don't need to sell your clothes no more.
I also love All About Evil, and I also think that this would be, the perfect movie to watch on your next queer horror movie night. So if you haven't watched it, watch it. All right. So moving on to my last movie, it is Slay from 2024. This is a to be original movie, so be prepared for that. Yeah,
Okay.
that level of quality. This movie stars Caramel, Crystal Method, Heidi in Closet, and Trinity the Tuck. The premise: after a booking mistake, four drag queens find themselves performing for a mostly unwelcoming crowd. But when vampires attack, the crowd looks to the queens to save the day. Um, I mean, okay,
To Wong Fu with vampires?
that's the vibe it's trying to go for. Yeah, like it's they show up at like this like dive bar in like the middle of the country, and like these bikers are there, and like they don't want them there, and like over the course of the movie it's up to the drag queens to like change the homophobe's mind. Right away, that's kind of like the clear difference between this movie and Dead Don't Die in Dallas, that movie I talked about earlier. In this movie, the drag queens have to like change the homophobe's mind. In Dead Don't Die in Dallas, Willem just kills the homophobes. Yeah, so he's not changing anyone's mind. He's just like pop. But yeah, this movie, like, I know it's a to be original, but like there clearly was like some production value behind it. Like the effects are actually pretty decent. Like there's pretty good CGI. The props are pretty good. Like obviously they could afford these like pretty big-ish name drag queens. Like obviously Trinity, Heidi, Crystal. The fact that like this movie had decent production, it's not great in terms of like writing. Like again, it's going off of the like Tu Wong Fu comparison.
Yeah.
But like the characters are written in like such a cliche way. Like Heidi plays like this feminine queen, and like she has like this romance subplot where she and this other like biker are like falling in love while like fighting these vampires. Trinity plays like the leader of like the drag queens, and she's more like badass one, I guess, like fighting all the vampires. And like Crystal Method played really, really annoying, like dumb bimbo character, keeps running from the vampires. Like she's basically like the Daphne of the group. Like she just
Okay.
like gets caught and like everyone needs to save her. Acting of these queens, very, very hit or miss, mostly on the miss side. Heidi is like not great. Like Caramel is not great. Trinity is okay, but Crystal cannot act.
Oh,
I'm
I have to
sorry.
see this now. Why did the crowd think that the drag queens could handle the vampire? Are these drag queens like secretly Buffy?
The queens show up at this bar, like bikers there who are like, I don't fucking like you. Like, get your, your ass out of here. You're not welcome here. The bikers end up turning into vampires. The people who are left in the bar are like, like this drunk lady, like the bartender, and these two like gay people who live in the area who just wanted to see Queen. They're the ones who are like, oh, like save us, save us.
Oh,
Yeah,
got it.
yeah.
Got
And
it,
the
got
the
it.
bikers are mostly ones who like got turned into vampires.
Got it.
Yeah. I don't really love like the plot line of like these queens having to be the ones to save the homophobes because it's just like fuck them.
Why are a lot of these movies, do they feel the need to have a larger social commentary on homophobia?
It's hard to do a movie starring a drag queen without addressing homophobia in some way.
Mm,
But like I agree it doesn't always need to be like one of the main plot points. And also the plot in this movie just doesn't make a whole lot of sense. In case you're dying to watch this to be original, but
right.
the ending stops making sense because they want to shoehorn in like a happy ending for all the characters. A lot of the rules of like being a vampire like stop making sense. Spoiler, like one of the queens gets turned into a vampire, but like she's not evil. She's a good
Oh my
vampire.
gosh.
And also they don't burn in sunlight. So she's basically the same person. She just has fangs. So me and my boyfriend went on vacation to Vegas and we were staying at the Flamingo Hotel and we got there a little bit early before our check-in time. And I don't know if you've ever been to the Flamingo. Checking in at the Flamingo was like checking in at the fucking DMV. Like we had to stand in line, and we get to the front of the line, and the girl's like, "Can I help you?"
Oh my gosh.
And we're like, "Hi, we're here to check into our room." And she's like, "Check-in is at 3:30." And we're like, "Okay, well, we'll just pay the fee and check in." And she's just like, "There are no rooms available right now. Or if you would like to upgrade your room, we can get you right away."
Oh my god.
And we're just like, no, I think we'll just come back later then. And she's just like, okay. Yeah. And we're just like, okay, damn. So we literally like took our bags and just like sat on like the back patio of the hotel. And like to kill time, we just like started watching this movie on my phone. And I don't know if that was a better experience than just like sitting in silence because like this movie is not very good. We were just like very much cringing the entire time at how bad the acting was and like how much the plot didn't make sense and how cliche the characters were. And yeah, this was a very, very weird start to what was supposed to be a romantic getaway for me and my boyfriend.
You know what? You saw this and then you saw RuPaul's Drag Race Live.
Yeah, yeah.
So, you know.
Two ends of the drag spectrum.
So
right
this
there.
made you appreciate RuPaul's Drag Race Live production value.
Yes, thank you, RuPaul, for saving my relationship.
Thank you, RuPaul.
Yeah, but this movie, again, not great. I give it a Sashay Away.
Girl, you said to be original. I stopped listening. Sorry. My last movie, it is Drop Dead Gorgeous from 2020.
Drop Dead Gorgeous?
Yeah, Death Drop. Sorry, excuse me. Death Drop Gorgeous. I saw this movie at 2 a.m. last night and I regret it. That's why I'm so tired. That's why I sound like I have like amnesia. But yeah, to go over the plot, it follows this gay guy. Okay, I'll get it together. I'm sorry. It follows this gay guy who had a business with his ex-lover, found out his ex-lover was seeing somebody else, so he moves back to this like gayless, really sad area, and there's not much going on there. So he gets a job as a bar back. He used to work at this gay bar, and I know that's like the A plot, and then the B plot is that there's this serial killer secretly killing all of the gays in the town. He lives with his friend who's an actor, and they start noticing that a lot of the patrons around the bar start disappearing because they're getting killed by this serial killer who targets gays and drains them of their blood. And at the end of the movie, they find out that it's actually this washed up drag queen who started killing all these gays, draining their blood to rebirth to a younger version of herself, all because she hated performing on Bingo Tuesdays at the gay bar and wanted the coveted Saturday spot.
That's actually kind of fun.
She had this whole speech about why she did it. She was like, all these younger queens think they can do social media content and call themselves a drag queen. I suffered. I like was performing at this place, and like all of her songs were so tired. And
She just has like a room, like a wall in her room with like pictures of Sugar and Spice with like
literally
all
all
like,
of the like it's just crossed out.
yeah.
It was literally that. It's like an old queen complaining about the younger queens who do social
The
media.
TikTok queen.
This movie needed a fucking video editor. It was so disjointed. The flow was like terrible. I fell asleep a few times. And like I woke up and I was like, it's still in this scene. Because what happens is that it opens with like the murder, then cuts to the guy coming in. And then like half the movie, it just talks about the guy. And it's like they forget that there's a fucking murderer out there. It's like one person dies and nothing happens for half the movie. And then all of a sudden like 3 people die.
I have to ask you said the villain is a drag queen.
The villain is a drag.
What is the queen's name? Because whenever there's a movie about a drag queen,
Gloria.
that's her name?
That's her name. I don't think there are any like famous drag queens in this movie.
Well, now we know why. Because they read the script. Like,
They're like,
so there are no actual queens in this movie, but how do they look? Because like as a non
busted. They look so busted.
Ooh.
If there's any saving grace to this, is that the guys were hot. The director, Michael Ahern, who also plays a detective in this film, hot. Big, muscly, burly. I don't know. Like, anyway. And then the bar owner, who also co-created this film, Brandon Paris. Oh my God, he's so hot. He is into like prosthetics and all that. So he actually did all of the special effects.
You watched this movie, saw how hot this guy was, and had to look him up on his socials, didn't you?
Yeah. Brandon _Sanchez _Paris. I mean, there's a reason why I stayed. I had to see what happened to Mr. Paris. Also, they advertised that it's on Shudder, but I had to watch this on Amazon with ads.
I thought this was on Shudder too.
It's still marketed as available on Shudder, but then when I went to Shudder, I couldn't find it.
You should have watched Ticked Off Trannies with Knives, which is free on Tubi.
Next time. But yeah, unfortunately, despite the eye candy in this film, it's a sashay away for me.
Well, that was our discussion on horror movies starring drag. We hope you guys, had a good time listening to us like give our reviews, and maybe you'll check some of these movies out and give them a chance. Let us know if these are good or bad, or maybe you should just watch the real thing. Maybe just go to a drag show and watch the queens there.
Yeah.
You'll probably have a better time.
DM us on Instagram and tell us if there's any horrific drag movies that you want us to watch for next time.
I'd love to do this kind of video again. This was fun. I know you're exhausted because you stayed up until 4 a.m. watching Death Drop Gorgeous.
It's okay. I don't mind like lying in bed watching Brandon Paris. But yeah. Dearest patrons and poltergeists, we hope you enjoyed your stay at
Chateau Macabre.
If you would like to see more of our content, you can follow us on Apple Music, Spotify, or wherever you listen to podcasts. Our YouTube channel is at Chateau Macabre, and our Instagram is at Chateau Macabre Podcast. Join us next time at Chateau Macabre. Bye. Chateau Macabre is not endorsed by any of the material owners presented during the show. It is intended for entertainment and informational purposes only.
All names, pictures, sounds, and clips are registered trademarks of their respective trademark and/or copyright holders.